know. Maybe he's not ready for the January. That's why he's not in good shape. That's why, or the UFC just say, please leave the title and we're gonna pay you more in June. Just let Petty win the fight, and we're gonna make it big fight for you or whatever. But they know I could beat everybody. That's why they didn't give me title fight. Petty for me, it's a easy work. Justin, it's a easy work. Ilya, easy work. It was a hard work. Islam, but he left. So nobody on my level on this division right now.
Arman Tsarukyan isn't holding back. He's calling out Illia Topuria and even the UFC, claiming the Pimblett vs Gaethje hype is nothing but smoke and mirrors. Arman Tsarukyan expressed his frustration in his latest comments, calling Illia Topuria fake and questioning UFC's matchmaking decisions that set up Pimblett vs Gaethje. His bold statements have sparked controversy, leaving fans debating whether he's speaking the truth or just stirring the pot. One thing is certain, Tsarukyan's reaction has everyone talking, and it adds another layer of drama to the UFC scene.
I knew that UFC wants to do Ilya versus Petty, and on my mind, I didn't think like it's something happened, even if I knock him out, because they already set up that all things. But at the end of the day, Ilya didn't fight, and I think this is UFC game plan. It's not like a family issue or something. It's they want to make star Paddy Pimblett and to bring him to fight for the title with Topuria has a bigger name and make it like a big fight, like a kind of Khabib versus Conor, but they're not, even if he got the belt.
Arman Tsarukyan expressed his disappointment after learning that the fight between Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje had been orchestrated. In his view, Illia Topuria's claims of family issues or injury are completely false, and the UFC is helping push the story to the public. He also blasted the organization for setting up the matchup, calling Paddy a manufactured fighter and accusing the UFC of trying to build him into a star. According to Tsarukyan, the entire scenario is pre-planned, with Illia allegedly being paid to stay silent for now, while the UFC's rankings, he claims, are nothing but a complete shame.
It's hard, it's hard because it's your goal. Why like a bullshit guy like a Petty beat like a... He beat just one rank, number 12, and like they made the fake ranking and put him on the 5, and it's a business, it's not just a sport. So they can do whatever they want to do, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna be a champion. It's just time, the difference of the time, beginning of the year or and the end of this year. But it's hard. I don't know how to explain, but it's a hard because I deserve to fight for the title.
With his path to Illia Topuria on hold, Arman Tsarukyan isn't letting frustration slow him down. After speaking out about the UFC's matchmaking and the manufactured hype around Paddy Pimblett, Tsarukyan is now shifting his focus to a new, high-profile target. The 29-year-old is making it clear he has his sights set on a legacy-defining matchup, calling for a showdown with BMF champion Max Holloway, one of the few fighters to have victories over both Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. For Tsarukyan, this isn't just about climbing the rankings, it's about proving that he belongs among the elite and taking control of his own narrative in the UFC.
They could give me they're supposed to give me a BMF title at least. Because what they gonna give me? Who we have in our division to fight for me? If it's not Holloway, there is no names. Charles Oliveira too? I mean, it don't make sense. If they wanna see him losing the game, no problem. But just they gotta take care of their legend, Don't put against the killers.
But being passed over hasn't frustrated Tsarukyan. It's made his feelings toward Paddy Pimblett even stronger. He openly sided with Justin Gaethje and made it clear who he wants to see come out on top. In fact, Tsarukyan's irritation has reached a point where he's avoiding UFC 324 altogether, saying he doesn't trust himself to stay composed if he crosses paths with Pimblett. His frustration is boiling, and in his mind, this matchup represents everything wrong with the UFC's current direction.
Justin, if you need the help, let me know. I'll fly to you and help you.
Really?
I mean, I want him to win, and that bullshit guy, I hate him. But I hope Justin Gaethje not gonna drink, party, gonna train, dedicate himself, be focused. It's his last chance in this life. He was fighting for the title maybe 5 times. So this is his chance and the end of his career. Win the interim title, fight for the real title, and then retire. That's the best for him.
The UFC's decision to hand Paddy Pimblett a shot at the interim title sparked immediate debate across the MMA world. Veteran journalist Ariel Helwani voiced his surprise, questioning why the top contender, Arman Tsarukyan, wasn't part of the matchup. According to Helwani, the situation felt more like a patchwork fight than a legitimate title bout. He highlighted Tsarukyan's discipline, his impressive track record, and his dominant win over Dan Hooker, reminding fans that the Armenian contender had done everything required to earn a title opportunity, yet was still left on the sidelines.
An interim title fight, by the way, that does not feature a number one contender. Because the number one contender at 155 pounds is a guy named Arman Tsarukyan, and he's not involved in this fight. And of course, the champion Illia Topuria is not involved in this fight. This is a makeshift fight. This is as prestigious as a BMF title. God bless. I said I wanted to see Paddy fight for the belt. God bless. I said, Justin, I think you need to win a couple more. He said he was going to retire. Unless he got a title fight, I guess he's not retiring. He's fighting for an interim title. But this is a bogus fight.
Helwani also pointed out that the UFC has shown a tendency to bend its own rules when it comes to matchmaking. In his view, setting up Gaethje and Pimblett for the interim title didn't follow the usual merit-based progression, making the fight feel less like a legitimate championship and more like a promotional spectacle. He compared it to other interim bouts in the past that seemed questionable and noted that positioning this fight as the main event added another layer of controversy.
But this is a bogus fight. And it's insane to me that it is headlining over Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes. On paper, Paddy versus Justin, if Paddy wasn't fighting Illia and Illia's supposed to fight Arman, on paper, Paddy versus Justin is a fine fight to determine the number one contender to fight Illia and or Arman.
DC weighed in on the current lightweight landscape, acknowledging the hype around Paddy Pimblett while noting that his path isn't quite ready for a title shot yet. While Pimblett continues to rise, DC suggested that the most compelling fight from a sporting and entertainment perspective is clearly Tsarukyan versus Topuria. He highlighted the tension and personal edge between the fighters, explaining that matchups like this create a real sense of competition where both athletes are tested and pushed to their limits. For DC, it's the kind of fight that truly challenges champions and excites fans alike.
I know for a fact that they wanted to do Paddy versus Justin. A win over Justin after what he's done already. Now I would have bought Paddy Pimblett fighting for the belt right now, because I still believe that Paddy needs to continue to grow in the octagon a little bit, because he's righted the ship and now he's fought so well that we go, man, the way he beat Chandler, we've never seen that before. But Illia is a different beast. He's a savage. But so is Arman Tsarukyan. I believe that Arman versus Illia is the fight, man. 100%.
Beyond just rankings, DC pointed to the personal tension between Tsarukyan and Topuria as a key factor that makes the fight exciting. The rivalry is clear in their interactions, creating a matchup that feels competitive and unpredictable. For DC, fights like this are exactly what test champions at the highest level. Challenging, intense, and thrilling for fans. He highlighted the tension and personal edge between the fighters, explaining that matchups like this create a real sense of competition where both athletes are tested and pushed to their limits. For DC, it's the kind of fight that truly challenges champions and excites fans alike.
From the interactions they have, the way that you can tell that those guys don't like each other. Illia said he slapped him the other day. Arman said he touched his face, and now he's saying he slapped him. It's easy to build a fight between these two, because when you build a fight between these two, you feel like it's going to be very competitive. You feel like there is a chance Arman Tsarukyan can win, but you also know that there's not a person in the world that Illia Topuria can't beat. With these great champions, there is nothing better than going into a fight knowing that they are going to have their hands full and are going to be challenged.
As obvious, the announcement of Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett interim title fight left many in the MMA world scratching their heads, and former champion Aljamain Sterling was no exception. He highlighted how Arman Tsarukyan, the rightful #1 contender, had stayed professional through setbacks and even backed up as a replacement fighter. Despite proving himself in the octagon, Tsarukyan was passed over, leaving fans and fighters alike questioning the UFC's decision-making.
We have a little bit of a debacle happening for these title shots, and Dana announced some big fights. Some big fights that were very, very confusing. Fun fights nonetheless, but very, very confusing. Let's start with the obvious. The #1 contender, Arman Tsarukyan. He was supposed to fight Islam Makhachev, got hurt, and understandably pulled out and had some repercussions from the UFC brass, which I understand. But the guy made up for it. You weighed in as a backup fighter, which sucks. Yeah, they pay you, but it sucks. You have to cut weight, not even knowing if you're going to actually fight. So he did that. Backup fighter. Doesn't get the call, but made weight. Show the UFC that he's a company guy. He's going to do what he can to make things right.
Sterling called the UFC's matchmaking confusing, particularly when it came to the lightweight interim title picture. From his perspective, Tsarukyan had done everything asked of him. Fought when scheduled, stepped in as a backup, and defended his top contender status with a decisive win. Yet somehow the top contender was still overlooked in favor for a matchup that still didn't sit right with many.
Then he goes on and he fights again, defends his #1 spot, beats Dan Hooker, and gets a finish. Then, I want to say, yeah, a week later, almost a week later, I'm sure if he had the opportunity to fight for the interim title between Paddy Pimblett or Justin Gaethje, he would have done it. Unless we're all completely mistaken and he said, no, I only want to fight for the title, or that's it. And that's against Illia. Because if you fans don't know, fighting for an interim title is treated the same as an official title. Maybe not to the public, the media, the masses, who don't actually understand what it does on the back end for your contract.
Well, we don't know exactly what unfolded behind the scenes. Sterling made it clear he doubts Tsarukyan would have refused a shot at the interim belt against either Gaethje or Pimblett. Instead, the scenario suggests the UFC simply chose to go another direction, leaving Tsarukyan and much of the MMA community frustrated over a missed opportunity.
I think Arman would have taken the fight. That's just what I would think. It's not too bad of a turnaround. And on top of that, he just won, got a finish, didn't take a lot of damage. I don't know how hard the training camp was, but didn't take a lot of damage. It's to see that.
The current landscape in the UFC lightweight division has become a whirlwind of controversy, confusion, and missed opportunities. At the center of it is a growing disconnect between what fans and analysts expect and the discussions being made by the promotion. For a division that prides itself on meritocracy and ranking-based progression, recent matchups have left many scratching their heads, and for good reason.
Arman Tsarukyan should have got it. I don't. Paddy and Justin have been right there for a little bit. Arman was kind of out on the sidelines. Yes, he got a great win last week. However, he will also get the winner of Justin versus Paddy. But who wins in all these fights? What fight are you looking forward to the most?
When a fighter rises to the top of the contender list, the natural expectation is that they earn their shot at a title, or at the very least are featured prominently in high-stakes matchups that reflect their achievements. Yet, what we have seen is a scenario where rising stars are seemingly overlooked in favor of storylines that feel more manufactured than earned. It's a situation that challenges the very credibility of rankings and raises questions about how the UFC balances performance, marketability, and fan interest.
Tsarukyan is the guy who should be in this role. Like, what are we doing? He's the guy. If anyone in this division should be... There is, of course, plenty of reason to say there shouldn't be an interim title, but if there's going to be one, how is Arman Tsarukyan not in that? Now, what do you do with him? Is he going to fight the BMF winner or something? Like, I don't know. Because here's the problem. The winner of Gaethje and Pimblett is going to be the interim champion. They're going to put Arman in front of the interim champion to get the title shot? So not only is Illia not active, he'll only fight at the earliest, quite literally at the earliest, second quarter of 2026.
One of the key issues here is the way matchups are constructed. It's not just about who wins or loses, it's about the narrative the promotion wants to push. Fighters who have proven themselves in the octagon, defended top contender positions, and consistently performed at the highest level are sometimes passed over. Meanwhile, other matchups are fast-tracked with fighters who may still be developing or whose experience doesn't fully justify the opportunity, suddenly positioned in a title fight. This selective approach, while effective in creating buzz, risks alienating both fighters and fans who value merit-based progression.
That first bout is going to be against the winner of the 324 main event. So Arman's going to have to sit or fight whoever for potentially 1 or 2 more times before he gets a shot. Now, I'm guessing he probably won't fight 2 more times. I'm guessing he'll fight 1 more time. Nevertheless, he's getting hosed here. And God only knows if you get some kind of crazy result. Let's assume that it's Paddy. Maybe it's not, but let's assume that it is. If you get some kind of crazy result in Illia and Paddy, they might do an automatic rematch, in which case this guy could be iced out for the rest of the year. I don't love that. I don't love that. This is an organization, if I can be honest, where the best are supposed to be fighting the best. In fact, if we're going to start this, then let's just sort of make the argument where it is.
Another factor is the emotional and competitive edge that is often overlooked. Rivalries aren't always manufactured, they develop naturally from interactions, history, and competitive clashes. When two athletes have personal tension and mutual respect for each other's abilities, the fight carries a level of intensity and unpredictability that staged narratives simply cannot replicate. In these situations, the stakes are higher, the strategies sharper, and the outcomes far more compelling. Yet, when such matchups are delayed or ignored, the division loses some of its authenticity and fighters who have earned their place are left frustrated.
Tsarukyan is crying in a hotel room as we speak. I just saw Arman Tsarukyan sink to his knees in a Target somewhere. This is really, really bad news for him, but really great news for fight fans. But really confusing news because Arman Tsarukyan should be involved, but they're going with Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett as the main event of the first card back. Illia Topuria needs to take some time off because of some situation that he's going through.
What this scenario ultimately highlights is the tension between the business side of the sport and the competitive side. UFC matchmaking is not just a sport, it's entertainment, and storytelling plays a huge role. But when entertainment begins to outweigh fairness, credibility suffers. Fighters who dedicate years to climbing the ranks, making sacrifices, and proving themselves in grueling bouts deserve recognition that reflects their accomplishments, not just a narrative deemed marketable.
The winner is going to fight Illia Topuria, no doubt at the White House. And this is absolutely insane matchmaking. I reckon Pimblett's going to win this one, but that's not the only thing to break down. We've got more fights. The rumored and the feared original main event of UFC 324. There were rumors circulating saying that Harrison versus Nunes was going to be the main event of the first card of the Paramount era, and it sent shivers through the MMA community's spines.
The silver lining, however, is that this tension creates anticipation. When fighters are finally positioned against worthy opponents, particularly those with established rivalries and competitive history, the stakes feel monumental. Fans can sense when a matchup has been earned versus when it has been manufactured, and that awareness adds an extra layer of excitement to the fight. For athletes who feel passed over, it also fuels motivation, pushing them to train harder, perform better, and demand their rightful place.
Manipulator, they want to, they want to grow the UK or something like that, but it's not being done because that guy needs to fight that guy because of the way the fight game works. Because if we're doing that, then you could do Arman versus Paddy, interim title. You could even do Arman versus Gaethje, interim title. Either of those are fine, but you can't do a fight without Arman. More to the point, Diego Lopez, great fighter, but he got beat soundly by Volkanovski. Was just outclassed the guy. What are we doing? Why are these fights happening? And again, if you looked at the fights, you're like, oh, are these guys chumps? No. Could these fights produce meaningful action? Sure.
At the heart of it, the current situation is a reflection of the complex balance between performance, opportunity, and promotion. While controversies may arise and frustrations may mount, the division remains rich with talent, rivalries, and storylines that are bound to culminate in fights that truly matter. It's a reminder that in combat sports, nothing is ever simple, and the path to recognition is often as challenging outside the octagon as it is inside it.
He just levitated his way into an interim title shot, which is insane, but fair enough. As an Englishman, I'm all on board with this. But, you know, it is what it is. I think he'll beat Gaethje, but let it be known, Gaethje said, I'm not fighting ever again, and I'll retire if you don't give me a title shot. And they fucking bent the knee. They bent the knee to Justin Gaethje and just gave him what he wanted through him threatening to retire after beating Fiziev on short notice. Are you hearing what I'm saying right now? And the only guy, Arman took a fight against Dan Hooker, destroyed him, demolished him, made the call out, said he'd be ready for this day. And he's the only one not rewarded by any of this.
The tension between Arman Tsarukyan and Illia Topuria is heating up, with critics questioning some of Topuria's recent claims. Tsarukyan has slammed his opponent for what he sees as fake injury excuses, arguing Topuria is being strategically positioned rather than proving himself. According to the controversy, experts suggest Topuria may be hesitant to face Tsarukyan directly, knowing how tough the matchup would be. As he eyes another high-profile fight, the decision has drawn scrutiny. Fans and analysts are left questioning whether the UFC is favoring narrative over merit, while Tsarukyan's frustration continues to grow.
Illia has expressed interest about moving up and maybe trying to face Makhachev. How realistic is this scenario, do you think? You know, does it leave Tsarukyan in limbo at lightweight?
Stupid. He's not moving up. Like, come on. There's too many horses in the stable at 170.
I'm moving up.
Yeah.
Is he trying to run from Arman? Is Illia running from Arman?
I do think so.
Okay,
I do think so.
Hello.
But with that said, I think that Illia Topuria.
Who wouldn't want to run from Arman? Have you seen him before?
I'm running from him currently. I don't even know the guy I'm running from.
I do think Illia Topuria is the highest skilled fighter in the UFC right now, but I do think he is threatened by Arman. Arman's big, he's strong, he's great to weight class, his boxing is clean, great grappling. It's a tough fight for him to where he can go to 70s. Maybe he doesn't get the win. It doesn't make sense to me.
And that's where the MMA world stands right now. Arman Tsarukyan demanding answers, Pimblett getting the spotlight, and Illia Topuria feeling the heat like never before. The drama isn't slowing down, it's only getting bigger. But what do you think? Is the UFC pushing hype over merit? Is Tsarukyan getting robbed? Or is this just the game? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, share this video with your fight fam, and don't forget to subscribe to Boxism for more unfiltered combat coverage. Stay tuned because this story is far from over.